Hello, friend. Welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter and I'm joined with Connor.
Hey guys.
We are going to talk about Mr. Robot Season 2, Episode 9. It's called EPS 2.7 underscore init underscore 5 dot FVE. FVE, Connor? Clue? No, me neither.
Yep.
So, full spoilers for the episode as always, and I think first and foremost with this one is I'll say this. If Sam Esmail does one more scene where someone knocks on a door
And then cuts.
and then we don't get to see what the. Because this must have been a joke to him that we waited over a year to find out who was knocking on the door at the end of season one, and then in the same episode as finding that answer out, he does it again at the end.
See, you say that, but I wonder if that's intentional, not as a joke, but as a answer to us.
He's out to police again?
Yeah, it would be a very nice symmetry because that was how this episode opened, right? We
True.
learned
True.
what the end of that knock, and then it closed pretty much with that as well, and it was very similar. It reminded me of it a lot, and I think that's a very intentional. You're supposed to think that, but then maybe that's a misdirection. I don't know.
It could be a misdirection. I mean, it could be the police. I mean, they could if, theoretically just show up at any time and it'd make sense.
If they'd found that tape.
If they found that tape, but it looked like Cisco had found it as well, unless he's got the wrong tape in his hand. But how many people have VHS tapes lying around in 2016?
That's a good point. But it could be anything, to be honest. I mean, it could be anything that they've got her through Angela.
Isn't she at his place though?
Yeah, but if they're following Angela, because what's her name? Dom says she's been having her followed.
Yeah, but would Angela even know where his place is?
No, but what I mean is if they've been having her followed, maybe when they saw her meet with Darlene,
Oh right, okay.
they
Okay,
started following her as well.
I get what you're saying. Because I was thinking maybe it was Angela at the door because after Dom showed up, she ran to Darlene.
Panicked.
But
Yeah.
then I thought, would she know who to go there because she's at his place rather than her own place?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if she would know where that is. Maybe she does, but um. So yeah, so a lot to unpack in this episode. There's a lot to unpack. First things first, we start with a flashback to how he first goes to prison. And I wasn't sure if they'd go into it as much detail as this, but they cleared up everything. The muscle guy was one of the guards. Ray himself was the warden, which I didn't see him being that highly ranked, but fair enough. He's the
Yeah, I
warden.
think we speculated at some point.
Yeah. We saw how he first met Leon. He was watching Mad About You before he was watching Seinfeld. Amusing. It showed you all the different pieces of that, and then it ended with the opening title, and it cut nicely to Elliot then leaving the prison.
Yeah, it has that symmetry, the start and end.
I will say I really liked the music that was playing as he was getting into the prison. In fact, the music was on point pretty much throughout the entire episode, because I thought again the music that played while Angela was doing a little hacking scene.
Yeah.
I thought that was good during that as well. So
That said, it's rare it's not on point in this show.
true, but I think it was like three good tracks between source and score, like three tracks in a row. That I was like, oh, that's good. Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. Oh, that's good again. I was noticing it because it kept happening really quickly once after the
Yeah,
other.
I get you.
So we see Elliot leave. What I want to mention about this is I just really like that Darlene's waiting for him, and their hug I thought was quite touching.
Yeah, it was.
Because at first it was just like them being them, and then she said, "No, I'm going for a hug. Like I'm feeling this," and then he like slowly embraces her, and then it goes to this wonderful, ridiculous shot of them being really small in the frame and the building being huge.
They are absolutely tiny.
Same thing happens again when Philip meets White Rose in male form. There's a shot of them with the umbrellas where they're ants on the screen, like they are
It
so
feels
tiny.
very intentional, like saying they have all these big plans, but they're still just tiny pieces in everything.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, their conversation in general was very. It shed
It,
some light on some things. So the plant that Elliot's dad worked at is actually something that White Rose has a vested interest in. That's
it gave us more questions than it answered this scene.
I would say this episode gave us more questions than it answered.
It's true. There was a lot in this episode.
There's a lot of new things I have to. I've got a kind of list in front of me just in case I miss any. When we get to the end, I can go back and check, just make sure we've done them all. But that was one. So he has an interest in that. Philip made a bit of a power play, although he's better at it than Angela is, that's for sure.
Not hard.
But before we even get that scene, we see White Rose in woman form. And I feel weird saying in male and woman form, but he literally does have these two personas that he goes
That you
with.
have to identify between them because they are two very separate people.
I think technically the male version isn't White Rose, but I can't remember what his regular name is, so...
No, I can't either.
So, just, male White Rose. But the scene where he pisses on the grave of the past CEO of...
Do you know what that wasn't even the most powerful part of that scene? Like, sure, you go, oh, he's pissing on the grave. They really must dislike him. But,
what do you think?
Yeah, but that wasn't the most powerful part. The part that really stuck home for me was that she stayed past the time, past the watch beeping to do this, and we know how important that is to.
White Rose.
Yes. Yes.
There you go. Yeah, that stuck out. So Elliot's out of prison, and we get to see him, Darlene sort of fills him in on what's been going on, and they go back to Cisco's place. She mentions, that Mobley and Trenton are missing, and Mr. Robot starts malfunctioning.
Oh my god, this scene, this is another one where it just hits you.
Because he's in the bathroom and he's talking to us about, it's nice to be able to go to the bathroom in private.
He's saying it's the first normal moment he's had in however long.
And he hears, Cisco and Darlene arguing outside, and then he hears Mr. Robot's voice, and he's like, wait a minute.
He does the same thing we do. Everything just stops. It's like, hang on,
and
this isn't real.
Yeah, and then it cuts, but because he's actually out there as Mr. Robot.
Yeah.
And Mr. Robot then later informs him, something's weird, something's went wrong with us. It's like we're overheating. You just shut down, so I had to take over.
Yeah, and you see it glitching between them in the conversation.
Yeah,
it does really good.
It does that a few times, because it happens a couple of times in the episode later on the subway train, and again, it's got this really cool audio effect as it flickers between them.
Yeah, it's like a TV screeching sort of thing.
Yeah. And it feels like a malfunction. It feels like something's not quite right. And this kind of, because obviously the plan here is that Elliot wants to find out what the second phase is of this plan that White Rose has and the Dark Army has, because that's what Darlene seen in the computer last week, or 2 weeks ago, no, last week. And so he sets up a meeting with the Chinese guy that didn't torture, but he did the whole the nail thing to Cisco, to make a point that they have this power, and he meets him. So we know how dangerous this guy is, and so Elliot,
Cisco's constantly telling us as well.
Yeah, and so Elliot's shouting out, look at me, tell White Rose get White Rose to tell us what the second phase is. So later on, so they've got the phone not bugged in the traditional sense, but they've hacked into it essentially. So
they've got the mic turned on basically,
and they can hear it. So it's not a bug; they can just remotely hear it. And we hear the conversation, presumably between White Rose, because he's complaining about time for a start, and this henchman guy, and they're talking about phase 2. And White Rose says, wait, that doesn't make sense. Why would he be asking that? It's his plan.
It's another one of those moments where everything just stops and shatters for a second.
Yeah, Darlene does it. Darlene just, the look in her face is exactly what we're feeling.
That's what I'm saying. It's the same thing as when, with the Mr. Robot thing a minute ago, where Elliot reacts the same way we do. Yeah. Everything just kind of crashes around them for a second, and they have to figure out what the moment was.
And, it begs all these questions,
And you just go, what has Mr. Robot done?
But is it Mr. Robot? Is it really him?
If Elliot doesn't remember, I'm inclined to say yes.
See, I would say that, but the way Mr. Robot was earlier on, and saying, we're malfunctioning, something's not right, I feel like Mr. Robot doesn't know about this. Because he was like, let's not go and speak to them. He was against it. It's
true.
There's this extra element here. I was like, is there a third personality? Or
something's going on. That's the real.
Is Elliot forgetting stuff that he's done, or there's something else here. That's just left me with more questions. Like, it
Yeah.
left me with, like, what has caused Elliot not to know this?
Everything about this episode has made me go, I need more. Like, it's weird that this is towards the end of the season, but this feels like the start of something else.
Yeah.
Because like the first chunk of this season has been all spent on all like the prison sections that have started doing their stuff. And while it still feels this is obviously continuing that, this feels like this is the start of the next section.
Yeah. So we have, but that's the questions don't end there. Here's some more questions for you. So Cisco goes over to the woman's place to get the tape because Darlene remembers about the tape. It occurs to her that maybe we didn't get that.
A month later.
Yeah. Is that a full month?
Yeah, because she says to Cisco, and he goes, "It's been a month. The police will have been."
Okay,
Yeah.
true. And she's like, please go and look for it. And he seemingly finds it. He picks up a tape and he's about to leave, and then he sees something and he hears something because we hear something. We hear like sort of like frantic breathing as if someone's like either in pain or scared or something behind the couch, maybe in the pool area. That's sort of in that general direction. And he looks over and he looks like shocked, and it cuts. So that's one cliffhanger with giant questions. My first instinct was, is it Mobley and Trenton? But if it's been a month, maybe that doesn't pan out. If the police have been there now.
Also, I feel like didn't it imply Dark Army have them? Because in that conversation where they mentioned Phase 2, they said they didn't ask about the guy and the girl. Whatever it was.
Yeah, they said that. Because that was my number one guess last week. I said, I think the Dark... I said someone's intervened, I think, and I think it was the Dark Army. Because you were leaning more towards FBI.
I was leaning more towards Dom, yeah. But this implied that it was them.
Yeah. If they didn't take them themselves, then maybe they just know that they're missing, or they know that something happened to them. But it does seem to imply that they had something to do with taking them. But would that then be them, like, dying behind the couch? Probably not. Like... I don't know.
It doesn't fit, does it?
But we have this question now. Like, here it is. Like, he's looking at something. And of course, we mentioned it. Someone knocking on the door. Darlene, after she hears this conversation. And it's funny, actually. See, when she's walking towards the door, she knows to be scared because she looks terrified. But the way she walks into the sort of out of the darkness and there's just a little bit of light in her face. She looked a lot like Elliot, I thought. A little bit.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, just in that light, it was. I don't know if it was maybe it was the look of like bewilderment on her face, because that's what Elliot always looks like.
Okay.
But she reminded me of Elliot there. Also, I was thinking, look through the peephole, and then it cut to the door, and there was no peephole. I'm like, what? This is what? I have a peephole. This is New York. It's a dangerous city.
This is a very good point. Well, to be fair, most of them have chains. You know the ones where you open them a little bit and you can peek through.
True. Yeah. I don't have that on my door, but
no, but that feels like something. If you don't have a peephole, you got that.
True. But yeah. So she opens the door. We don't see who that is. That's cliffhanger number 2.
Aye. Well, 3 maybe.
Well, in the order that I'm speaking, number 2.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. Cliffhanger potentially number 3, I suppose, is with Angela. Although technically, I'd argue... I mean, obviously the scene with Dom is very interesting, because Dom's like, okay, you're clearly involved in stuff, I'm giving you an out to like come and give us information, whatever. And she gives her that really thin metaphor about the drowning, and once you stop struggling, that's when it starts to be okay, kind of thing. But the scene I really want to talk about Angela. Obviously, she does a whole like little hacky heist thing with the USB sticks.
It's fun again.
Which was a good scene. Yeah, it was a good scene. But she goes to like I can't remember what it's called, but the
Nuclear Commission something.
The regulation place that deals with these like safety issues is what I'm going to call it. And she's told to wait for a very long time. And it's when she's waiting for a long time, like, okay, something's fishy here. Like,
something's just not right, is it?
Yeah. And I was thinking the guy maybe went to speak to Evil Corp. Like, maybe they've got plants there and he's, like, speaking to them. Or maybe he is speaking directly to the FBI because she had to have got this illegally, maybe. Like, maybe that was the gist of it. And while I still think that's a possibility that it was the FBI that was waiting for her on the other side of that door, the intimidation, the way that she was walking down that hall and the way it was shot and the way she kept looking at the cameras, it felt like there was someone with a gun waiting on the other side of that door. It felt like she
really did.
it felt like she was about to be assassinated. So, as much as I still think it's definitely feasible that it was just Dom and some FBI people, like that you had to got this illegally.
That feels like it was. It feels like it was more than that, doesn't it?
I'm almost thinking Dark Army, like almost.
Oh, okay.
But then, of course, I'm like, why wouldn't they just burst out? If this person who's leading her there is in on it, why wouldn't they just jump out and do it? But then again, cameras
All
are
the
there.
cameras, yeah.
But then
I think that was the. Yeah, they're in control of them all, aren't they?
they are. But at the same time, the way Angela was looking at the cameras and then like wanting to stay in them, kind of thing, maybe you know, that was the danger.
Yeah. That's what you assume, isn't it?
Basically, everyone's in danger in this episode. Angela's in danger. Elliot's in danger. Darlene's in danger. Mobley and Trenton, they're not there, but we know they're in danger probably because they're missing. Because we know that Trenton's parents have declared they're missing.
Yeah.
Darlene told us that. And of course, the fourth cliffhanger is the very end. And I knew who it was going to be in the car because obviously he even mentions in narration that it's Tyrell's SUV, and obviously we know who's in it.
It's this fantastic monologue where he's going, "What is normalcy? I talk to an invisible friend. I have a separate personality, and the man who I murdered, his SUV is sitting in front of my house.
Who 100% is not dead. I'm just saying that again.
Yeah.
So I knew it was going to be Joanna, but I'm so glad that they put the bit where he gives her the fake name from season 1 in the previously on at the start, because as much as I remember that scene very well, I did not remember the fake name he gave her.
Nor did I.
So I'm glad it was seen in the previously on that he gave her the name Ollie.
Yeah.
Wasn't that Angela's boyfriend's name?
I think it might have been.
Yeah, because even Dom mentioned it in this episode. She said that Ollie spilled about stuff as soon as we spoke to him.
Yeah, she's a little pussy.
Yeah, yes. So, hello, Ollie. It's not quite bonsoir, Elliot.
It's not, but she is more terrifying.
She is scary. So that left us off in an interesting place.
I'm legitimately terrified of watching this conversation now.
This is scarier than when Ray had his thugs beat up Elliot. This is
it is like that conversation in the season 1 finale is still the scariest moment in the entire show. I don't know what it is about her, but she is absolutely terrifying.
That said, there was multiple scary moments in this episode. I was scared for Darlene opening that door. I was scared for various things.
Yeah.
When Angela was going down that hallway, that was scary.
What an episode.
Very, very interesting episode. I don't think it reaches the high point of a couple of other ones this season so far, just purely because I don't know if it's just because the emotional stakes got me to like a really nice like harmony, if that makes sense, in some previous ones. But this was a really strong episode. This was
I really like that this is giving us the questions instead, like and making us ask them rather than just giving us the answers.
Do you know what? I am really glad that they confirmed season 3 before this episode aired.
You'd be a little bit concerned, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'd be like, oh my god, there's no way I'm going to answer all of this before the end of the season. And we've still not dealt with Tyrell. We've still not got that answer. So
no, but I'm okay. They want to take the time, do some stuff in 3.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Do what you want. Do what you want. It's coming. I can wait.
That's fine. Although
Perfection takes time.
Sam Esmail, this entire show's just a knock knock joke to him.
It is.
Knock knock. Who's there? We'll find out in a year.
My god! If they don't tell us now.
If they don't tell us who's at the door for Darlene for another year.
That would almost be funny. I'm not gonna lie.
Right, did I miss anything? Right, the door with Darlene, Joanna, Trenton and Mobley missing, Cisco looking beyond the couch, whatever Dom's up to, the Angela hallway scene, stage 2. Yeah, I think we've covered all the.
With Cisco,
points.
do you think it could feasibly be the woman that we thought Darlene had killed?
But they get rid of the body.
Oh, that's a good point.
They took it
But
to.
I don't know. Why? I don't know. Maybe she'd go back. It's her home.
It's a zombie. They put her in a furnace.
It's a very good point. I'd forgotten that if you went in a furnace. Because it was the dogs. Yeah, never mind. I was just thinking maybe I forgot how they disposed of it. I was thinking, oh, they disposed of it, but she wasn't actually dead, but she was.
Even if she wasn't at that point, they burned her alive.
Yeah, that's the part I'd forgotten.
Yeah, so yeah, that theory's out the window right away.
Yeah,
I really don't know.
I don't know who it could be.
Mobley and Trenton still seem like the most obvious choice, but I'm not sure why they would be there, especially if this is a month later and the police have been in and, oh, this woman's missing, we've searched the crime scene. Why would they go back there? It doesn't make...
The one thing I can think of is after the police have searched it, they have no reason to go back there again. That's it, they're done.
Mm.
And then...
Well, who owns the house? Like, who's controlling it now? Presumably it'd go to someone in her family. Or if it's an evil corp building, like if they own the building... Maybe it's been used for something nasty that the Dark Army's done, or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and we've seen that Evil Corp gives out all the houses, like they give Angela hers.
Yeah, yeah.
So they could have given it to anyone.
That's very true. Time will tell. That is Mr. Robot, episode 9, season 2. Let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Thoughts and theories and wild opinions, all that stuff. You can get us on Twitter at mild_fuzz. Of course, we'll be back next week. So like and subscribe, all that jazz helps us out a lot. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.